I'm Nate Wells.
I'm Amber Flake.
Mohammad, Kousayeh.
And I'm Bradley Vaughn. And this is Team Awesome. We're here to make sure that Cracker Barrel has the best life that it was supposed to have. It got a little bit off course, but we're here to point out where it went off course and the proper steps to take to get it back to the revenue skyrocketing track that it was on.
This is Cracker Barrel. It's not just a brand, but a signal of what happens when a company abandons its identity. Our team here is to unpack how the loss of ethnicity, under pressure, crushed performance, and how we can build it without apology.
Born in the 1930s, Danny Wood Evans knew a different life than we're used to, where country stores were the calm backbone of a wild society. The Eisenhower interstate system changed all that. The world was rushing, but Danny wasn't. He built Cracker Barrel to let people stop and breathe. And rocking chairs, checkers on barrels, those weren't decoration. That was an identity of a long past time. That soul was a competitive advantage. At their peak, they had 2.7 million in average unit volume. It's more than 2 times all of their other competitors. They were growing at 20.46% annual growth, and they were number 1 in customer satisfaction. But something was about to change.
Loss of identity. Relevance slipped when the brand panicked under fire. Lawsuit hit, the Department of Justice circled, and the company hit the brakes on who it was. The identity was the engine, nostalgia, warmth, road trip magic. That's what people came for, and then it vanished.
Let's look at Cracker Barrel's current strategy. They have 3 primary objectives. The first focuses on nostalgia. They want you to be transported back to that simple, slower time and be reminded of going to Cracker Barrel with your grandparents. So the nostalgia is a very key factor in their strategy. However, that nostalgic feeling has become less sincere and authentic, especially due to the attempted rebranding. Next, we have the value. They want their menu to be perceived as value-friendly, that you're getting a good bang for your buck. However, their prices have risen 35% since 2019, so there is some confusion on whether or not you are getting a good perceived value, even though they do still include value options on their menu. Last would be where they position their stores. They like to position themselves near interstates and hotels to be accessible to travelers, and they have updated their carryout options to include DoorDash delivery. Now, let's look at their strategic position and competitive approach. For their competitive advantage strategy, they want to have that emotional tie and that familiarity with the brand. They also leverage that location so it's easy to access, and they have lots of locations. Another strategy would be the focus on revenue protection rather than any sort of expansion. For their generic strategy classification, they have had price hikes of 35% since 2019, but again, they have those low-cost deals. So the prices are going up, yet they're still offering cheaper options, and they're not really pursuing that cost leadership. So it puts them at this confusing state because they are just trying to make their numbers grow, yet they're not really taking a stand. Are they value meals, or are they increasing the prices?
In the past 3 years, Cracker Barrel's undertaken several strategic initiatives. Starting in 2023, they started to use DoorDash. 23% of their revenue is done by deliveries outside of the restaurant. Also in the same year, they hired on a brand new CEO, who's Julie Messino. She is ex-Taco Bell, and she came in with a plan to take all of the old out of Cracker Barrel and to try to entice a new crowd, not realizing that the exact vintage feel that she was trying to remove is the brand equity of her organization. In 2024, they were able to get 400,000 people registered for the brand new loyalty program. And then in 2025, As part of the new CEO's plan, they took Uncle Herschel out of Cracker Barrel, causing a massive uproar, as symbolized by the dumpster fire. It turns out taking the core brand identity that your users resonate with out of the company makes your users very unhappy. They lost 8% of foot traffic to their door in that day. Key financials for the past 3 years. Cracker Barrel has suffered a staggering drop in their net income, 30 million down to 30 million in 3 years. At the same time, the return on assets and return on equity suffered the same meteoric fall, indicating that the major issues with the brand were not from the new rebrand. We had to dig further back to find out that they were from the 2000 rebrand of their marketing, where the original identity was stripped from the nostalgic vibe. Here are the strategic levers that are currently in use by Cracker Barrel. Their loyalty program, which just started in 2024, 6 million people in 2024, and is already up to 9 million in 2025. Their off-premise, their DoorDash as a percent of sales, in their first year skyrocketed to 35% and then abruptly fell in 2023 to 17%, going back up to just 18% in 2025. And the annual menu price lift has also skyrocketed with the equivalent drop in net income, indicating the increased lift on the prices was unable to match the outflow of foot traffic. The increased price lift was unable to keep up with the outflow of foot traffic.
The strategic issue, identity drift and value erosion have driven a sustained decline in visit frequency. Why it matters, revenue growth has been declining, customers are not satisfied, and also market share has been decreasing.
Let's look at the strengths and weaknesses of Cracker Barrel. One of Cracker Barrel's strengths is that heritage brand equity. They have a strong identity associated with the brand. When you think or hear of Cracker Barrel, you instantly have an idea in your head of what it is. The antique feeling, the old-time feeling. They also do have high customer satisfaction. They were ranked #1 in family dining in the 90s and early 2000s, and a lot of people still remember that. And they offer a great experience with the store and the food. They also have over 650 locations, and they have very good systems of like, here's the interstate, there's the Cracker Barrel, here's a hotel, and here's a Cracker Barrel. So where they've positioned themselves to great strength of the company. Now let's look on the flip, let's look at the weaknesses. They have had an identity crisis. They tried to rebrand and make it more modern, but that betrays their whole brand image. That betrays what people go to Cracker Barrel for. And that has alienated a lot of customers, and a lot of customers have lost their trust with Cracker Barrel. Next would be their aging customer base. A lot of people that go to Cracker Barrel are of the older generation, and they haven't pivoted their marketing to include Gen Z, Gen X, and all the millennials. Another weakness would be their margin-preserving choices and their eroded value. They have reduced portions, increased prices, and some quality issues. So the overall satisfaction seems to be dwindling down than it was in the 90s and early 2000s. Let's look at these external threats, these opportunities and weaknesses. Some opportunities for Cracker Barrel is that traveling is on the rise again. Since the pandemic, people want to get out, they're going on road trips, and that will bring a lot of traffic to those interstates, to those hotels where Cracker Barrel has strategically positioned themselves. This could be a great opportunity for an increase of customers and, in turn, revenue. Cracker Barrel also offers a sensory safe space. They have calm ambiance, and it's very appealing to drivers or people that do have sensory issues. They can still enjoy a dine-in experience at Cracker Barrel. The country store has also become a great space to include seasonal things, local gifts, and they could have big displays that entice people to come into the store. Now let's look at some of these threats. There is fast casual erosion. Brands like Panera and Chipotle attract younger diners with lower prices and quicker service, impacting weekday traffic. A lot of people want a quick meal now, and not a whole lot of people want to just sit down. Next would be the cultural sensitivity. Cracker Barrel, since their rebrand, has betrayed the trust of a lot of their customer base, and this could have permanently lost some business. Another threat would be the inflation fatigue. Since the menu prices have increased since 2019, there is that weakened value perception. A lot of people don't think they're going to be getting as much food for their money and would rather take their business elsewhere.
There are 5 strategic concerns that Cracker Barrel needs to be worried about. Addressing these issues will not only help their operations at a restaurant level, but overall address the issues that are happening with their fan base. Diving into number 1, we have our value perception is cracking. The value of Cracker Barrel is not how it used to be. There has been a 35% menu price hike since 2019. That's a lot, including them shrinking their portions. Now, I don't know about you, but I do not want to be paying more for my meal if the portions are going to be smaller. That's just something that people are not going to go to the business to eat because simply they're not getting their bang for their buck. The identity appeal of Cracker Barrel is slipping. The aesthetic is Cracker Barrel's appeal. You go to Cracker Barrel because you want a good home-cooked meal and sit around in a cozy environment with your family and have a great time. And that was all, unfortunately, destroyed when the new logo as well as the new remodels for the new locations. It took away that cozy environment as well as it simply just didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like another sterile business that people will go to just to spend their money and not be there for the experience. Road trippers are a big, big thing with Cracker Barrel. A lot of the times you see a lot of locations right next to hotels off the interstate. Why is that? They don't do that just for a whim. They do that because when people are on the road, they're at this hotel, they're far away from home, and they need an escape to feel like they're back home. And that is why Cracker Barrel is located there, because they can go there and get that home feeling that they're missing on a long road trip, or maybe they're moving and they don't have a home, so they need to feel that feeling. So leveraging the road trippers is a must because it will lead to more and more people wanting to make that stop to Cracker Barrel to feel a little bit at home while they're away. Cracker Barrel has been leveraging on a demographic that unfortunately is aging out. The baby boomer generation, which is a big demographic for Cracker Barrel, is slowly aging out with more and more of that demographic passing away, unfortunately. They need to reconstitute all of their efforts to bringing in the new generation because this older generation were the ones that would bring in these newer generations, and that newer generation would then get older and they would bring in their newer generation. Cracker Barrel needs to focus on getting a better understanding of this newer generation to pull them into their stores so they can create memories such as this loyalist demographic. Cracker Barrel cannot be confused on who they are. Cracker Barrel is not Bob Evans. They are not Outback. They are not Panera. Cracker Barrel is their own separate experience. They leverage their customers based off of the experience they provide as well as the feelings that people exhibit while they're there. Cracker Barrel is unlike any other. So for our first recommendation we have for Cracker Barrel is, at the core, what Cracker Barrel is, a restaurant. Fix the food. You first got to start with the kitchen. You got to make sure all the recipes are executed well. The food quality is your priority. And it all just starts with the plate. People go to a restaurant to eat. They don't go to a restaurant to sit around and do nothing. So ensuring that the food quality and ensuring that the recipes are carried out is essential. Portions, you want to have what you see on the menu. And when you receive something that doesn't look like what's on the menu, you get disappointed. So ensuring that the picture that you see on the menu equates to what you receive is vital in establishing trust with the consumer. And finally, having good price anchors signal that there's some value with what you're getting, which that could be, sub $10 early bird dinners and under $8 breakfast. Cracker Barrel's looking for an identity restoration, not a reinvention. They need to capitalize on what they already have. First, it could be restoring the atmosphere, bringing back that warm lighting, soft acoustics, and just that good old-fashioned solid wood furniture that brings that actual comfort. Customers are there not only just for the food, but they're also there for the vibe. First thing you see when you walk into Cracker Barrel is the retail section. Just that beautiful, beautiful array of anything you could possibly imagine. But here's the thing. A lot of it has been filled with meaningless items that really don't attract anybody to buy them. So, capitalizing on fewer items and just more local things, looking into the communities for products, as well as getting rid of a lot of the things that you can find in big box retailers that simply does not have a place in Cracker Barrel. Cracker Barrel needs to be more authentic with their visuals. They need to be capitalizing on what makes them look like Cracker Barrel, not what makes them look like everybody else.
For our third recommendation, for all of the people that are going on vacation and want to go out and drive, of which there's going to be 71% of you forecasted this year, Cracker Barrel, please remove the signs that have food on them by the side of the road. It makes you come off as a Bob Evans or anybody who is trying to sell their goods with eyes instead of with your own known quality. By replacing your billboards by the side of the road and taking the ones with food off and putting back up your logo, you are reinstating in people's minds the confidence that you have in your brand and in their ability to come off the road and have a great home-cooked meal and to be able to slow down and stop hearing their kids scream in their ears. The second part of our third recommendation is social media is where your new set of customers is coming from. Gen Z spends all of their times watching videos and researching the next place that they want to go by the other Gen Z people who are experiencing it in the world. And by them being able to share Cracker Barrel and their Cracker Barrel experience with each other, then they will be able to have their friends come and hang out. And they're going to learn about the vibe of the restaurant and about your cool store in a great environment where it's quiet and sensory friendly. This is a piece of brand equity that is so heavily needed in society right now. Sensory friendly hours at major marketplaces have been implemented all over the United States because people have been very sensitive to light and to hearing and to getting migraines to the point where they don't even want to go out to eat anymore. At Cracker Barrel, you already have the atmosphere in your brand for sensory-friendly dining. By not embracing it, you're leaving money on the table. We've put together the cost-benefit summary for each of these recommendations, and we're sending them along with this presentation. But as always, we recommend that you do a market survey and that you take those results, and for each mediocre result that does not give stellar ROI, prune it and take the funds and put it towards the stellar results that you get on some of these. Fully funding an initiative is how you regain the skyrocketing growth that you left back in the 90s. Your niche never got filled after you left, and the market said, the porch light's still on. But Cracker Barrel never came home. So come home. Waffle House never had to change their food to keep people coming in and continue to grow. In-N-Out Burger never had to make their burgers more healthy to have lines that are a mile long. Your brand is your nostalgic vibe. It's your incredible store with local handcrafted goods and toys for kids that you can't get anywhere else. Don't lose the soul that brought joy to so many through your deep, authentic vibes.
From all of us here at Team Awesome, we thank you.